Welcome to the Wrap-Up, a VR live stream focused on keeping you up to date with the adoption of universal profiles and growth of the new creative economy. Join us as we uncover the fusion of technology, artistry, and innovation that's redefining how we create, share, and experience in this digital age. It's time to wrap it up. Welcome back to the Wrap-Up, everyone. Today's March 8th. The year is 2024, and after a long 3-week hiatus where it feels like the entire earth moved under our feet, we're back. But before we dive into today's topics, take a moment to click that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps a ton and ensures you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Remember, what you hear in this podcast is just our opinion. It is not professional financial advice. We're not experts. If you need specific advice, please ask someone who's a professional in that area. Listen at your own risk, and always double check before making decisions based upon what we talk about. Alts, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too, buddy. Good to see everybody that's here with us live right now. GM. Yeah, it was a nice extended break, and yeah, a lot evolved in the process. But happy to be back and get these vibes going again.
Yeah, it was about 1 week longer than anticipated. When we left, I thought that I'd be ready to go after a trip to the Hawaiian Islands, but when I got back, I wasn't feeling so well. And actually, it's just keeps lingering. But, we're going to push through today. We're going to persevere because there's nothing else that we can do. And I think it's time we get back to business, which is spreading the pink gospel out there for everyone to hear.
Amen to that.
After all this FUD, I needed my pink pill. I appreciated that because that's how I'm feeling these days too. I was looking for anyone to pink pill me on the timeline while I was gone, because although I was not responding, I'm a sucker for looking at news. So I was definitely paying attention to what was going on. Alts, I don't know about you.
Same. Yeah, I'm still in the DMs, keeping chats going, but just forcing myself to take a bit of a break. It had been way long overdue for sure.
Yeah, way long overdue. And when we went off the air, it was kind of boiled in frustration. I mean, I will admit that it kind of boiled over for me. I had just kind of had it with just the constant level of negativity surrounding the project. Some of it maybe being justified, lots of it definitely not. Lots of personal attacks going on, lots of just bickering and infighting. There was really just, I don't know. It was feeling like it was this overwhelming mounting thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That's what happens when the price movement is so terrible, right? It basically just puts a microscope and a lot of pressure on all the points of contention, right? Like you said, some justified, some not. Yeah, it was definitely just created this sentiment that was just not fun to be around, to be honest.
Yeah. Yep. So we're here today to remind you why you should love Luxo, why we love Luxo, and why pink money is the wave of the future. Alts. Before we do that, let's give you some words about our friends and sponsors over at LEEQUID. We're not going to roll the ad today like we normally would. Instead, we're going to address some of the comms that have come out from LEEQUID over the past, let's call it 10 days, right? Sure. Rob, can we get those tweets up on the screen? Okay. So LEEQUID, as we know, has had a little bit of a hiccup, right? Alts, is that a fair way to say it?
That's a fair analogy there.
Yeah, a hiccup, right? And hiccups can be really annoying. I don't know if you've ever had one of those hiccuping streaks where you're just hiccuping for hours and hours on end, and you're like, this sucks. So you're like drinking water from between your legs, or like, trying to suck water up through your sinus. And
before you get the best thing you can actually do that has worked for me every time is you take a cup of water, you put a paper towel over it, and you drink through the paper towel. Now, I know you've all heard a million different ways to try this to get it to stop, but that's actually the only one that I've ever actually seen work. Just FYI.
Yeah, that was
real alpha, hiccup alpha for you.
Yeah, that was hiccup alpha. All right, so LEEQUID, hiccups, drinking water through paper towels, all of it really ties together. We're coming on air here to say today that we have friends at LEEQUID. LEEQUID, the team, they are our friends. We know them personally. They are a very hardworking group. This has been a really stressful and frustrating time for everybody in Luxo. As a staker in LEEQUID, I want to empathize with every person out there that is feeling that level of stress in your body right now, wondering when we're going to get resolution to this issue. I think it would be really inappropriate of me to come on here or alts to come on here and gloss over this entire event. Because these are people's hard-earned funds. As much as we like to say, never invest more than you're willing to lose, the fact of the matter is people use liquid staking solutions because they feel like those would be, again, not as safe as staking at your house. It may be on a DApp node or on your own machine that you're running your own validator set and your own node. But out of the, let's call it, on the risk curve of ways to spend your tokens or lock them up, Liquid is an audited solution for liquid staking on the Luxo blockchain. We tell you every week they've been audited by consensus. There's a lot of reputation on the line here. So when we say that, like, to have your funds in there, I bet you it's probably not your NFT funds, right? Alt, it's not the stuff you're gambling on JPEGs. It's
Right.
probably your things you're holding on to, hoping to keep for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah,
Is that an accurate
exactly.
way to state it?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So for the people who are holding on to these funds and they might be currently trapped in the Liquid protocol because Liquid did shut down withdrawals, um, I empathize with you because I, like you, have funds that are currently stuck. Now, throughout every stage of the process, there has been communication from Liquid that has told us that you will be made whole. Now, any news to the contrary are unofficial comms that are being spread by unofficial voices that are taking to these community channels. And in the way that gossip spreads like wildfire, people have started to craft their own narrative about what could possibly be going on. All of that is effectively hearsay. The only comms that we have are from Liquid. Liquid is just telling us what is going on. They, again, trying to tell us as much as they can while at the same time respecting the parties that are involved. The parties that are involved are obviously Liquid. There's obviously one of their staking providers, like one of their node operators, and then I believe that there is the Luxo blockchain, right? As Liquid has said at the outset through their official comms that they're working with Luxo. I don't know why this is taking so long to resolve itself, but looking at the tweet that's up on the board here, again, the bottom one says, "We apologize for the delay. We did say that," again, I'm gonna just editorialize that we would have, let's call it finalization in 1 to 1.5 weeks. However, some of the relevant parties were attending ETH Denver, which in turn caused a delay in our negotiations towards making users whole. People freaked out at that tweet, which caused a considerable amount of unrest, let's call it, in some of the official comms for Liquid. Um, so then Liquid did limit the public talking in the channel. Whether or not you agree with that, I do understand why they did it. The reason they did it is because, again, the narrative gets so far away from the official narrative once people start to kind of engage in that gossip. So then they came back with a second tweet, the quote tweet on top, and said, to clarify, no one from the Liquid team was at ETH Denver because Liquid was being attacked for prioritizing traveling to conferences instead of dealing with user funds. Liquid doubles down and says, as stated before, we're disclosing as much information as possible without compromising negotiations. Once this is solved, we will be issuing a report covering the incident from day one and answering all questions. We are talking about this at the head of the show, the sponsors, because we've staked our own personal reputation behind Liquid by, again, week over week, recommending that you invest your hard earned funds in this liquid staking solution if you're going to choose one. They are the liquid staking solution that came on first. A lot of people piled in. My confidence in Liquid has never wavered. That being said, I, like you, am feeling that level of stress and anxiety from not having resolution here. And I wanted to come on and definitely say that. And then I guess I'll stop talking all and I'll give you some space on this one. Is like, I wanted to come on and say, I feel you. I understand if you are feeling this way. But at the same time, I think if you look at the official comms are telling you what you need to know, and that is that you are going to come through on the other side of this clean. This was not a smart contract hack. This is not like a bug that compromised your funds, so to speak. This was human error or some type of error on that existed out there. But again, this is all from official Liquid comms. Anything other than that is complete hearsay, and you just can't engage in gossip. Gossip really does cause harm. Whether that be gossip in your personal life, talking about your friends or loved ones, or in this case, talking about your favorite blockchain or project. That level of gossip only can cause distress within the community. And we've been suffering from that for now a couple weeks. So at the top of the show, I wanted to make sure I address that.
Yeah, no, that's well said, Eth. I too have a nice chunk staked with Liquid, so I too, I feel the pain as well and the anxiety of, just not having access to your stuff when you want it. But I do have full confidence in the team, and I think we will all be made whole. So I'm not concerned about that, but I can see how it's easy to get caught up in these other narratives just because we're in this kind of limbo period, just waiting for the resolution, right? And I understand there's more to it than meets the eye. There's moving parts to this resolution process, and I'm sure there's some legal reasons they can't just come out and say what they're doing, right? So I try to give them a little more leeway, but of course it's just kind of like this black cloud that's just kind of hanging over the whole ecosystem right now. Everybody's just kind of in limbo, like I said, just waiting for this resolution. So it'll definitely be great to move past that. But like I said, yeah, I relate as well, and hopefully everybody's doing okay on the dealing with their anxiety towards this. But I feel like we're going to come out just fine on the other side.
Yeah, we had internal discussions. I mean, do we pull the Liquid ad for the time being? Like, is that something that we should do? What we arrived on was absolutely not. We're going to stand with Liquid here. Why are we going to stand with Liquid? Because they've given us no reason not to. And knowing the personalities, the individuals behind the team, the worst thing that we could possibly do would be rush to conclusion when all of the official communication is really telling us not to worry, that this is very inconveniencing. Yes, they will admit, but at the same time that their user funds are not at jeopardy. So what we arrived at was we would not run the written ad telling people to stake in Liquid because that would be tone deaf. But we are going to, you'll see in the lower right hand corner, you're going to continue to see Liquid scroll through throughout the course of the show. And that's because we stand with Liquid. We stake our personal reputation with that team. And I do so with full confidence and zero reservation. So you can know that at the outset.
Yeah, well said. I right there with you, Eth.
Okie dokie. All right, now that we got that out of the way, again, it's been a long 3 weeks, and I think I made a joke at some point that when people start to lose faith in Luxo, it's like the bat signal in the sky that's calling that's calling us out. And I think we're going to start here at the beginning. We're going to start here at the beginning of this top story segment before we get to some of our other segments like visual learning and the Pinkest tweet and some fun stuff by reminding everyone what has been built, why it's valuable, and also what's been missing from the narrative that maybe we need to fill in. Right, Alts?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's good. It's a really good time, especially have this kind of sort of reset with the sentiment and kind of everyone realigning their vision, to really take a look at the fundamentals and kind of assess where we're at, and where we're headed ultimately. Despite how we feel about the current price.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing we'll pull up, I woke up this morning actually to a Fabian putting yup and then quoting a short from the wrap up, which was actually quite interesting. And, after last night, again, just rolling in bed, I think I posted that I was having anxiety about doing the show, not knowing how to come back in, like how it's going to come out of my mouth, because from our friends, they know affectionately, like the DeLorean has a direct slide from the brain to the mouth. And sometimes there's not a gate that stops or filters what comes out. So I was nervous about getting on the show and just talking. When I woke up and saw this, you know, we had already had all the tweets in place. We had the show in place, but I think it I don't know, solidified the tone that I was going to take on this show. And not because we're getting a retweet from Fabian, like this is not an ego thing. Instead, listen to what he chose to retweet. The fundament of the Luxo ecosystem is an identity standard. It is an identity system, right? It is the universal profile. there's going to be a hyperconnectivity between these user accounts, which just doesn't exist outside of this ecosystem right now because you don't have this kind of unified approach to, let's say, the social layer of blockchain.
Yeah, I
Luxo,
absolutely love that.
yeah, dude, Luxo is so far ahead of the game. Yeah, I love that, man.
I do love that, bro.
Um, Luxo is way far ahead of the
Yeah.
game. And, that's just a short clip from us, but Fabian took to ETH Denver with a mission to spread that gospel, and the Pink crew went with him. The
Fabian
fundamental
took
of the I was like, "Huh, I'm gonna run that back again." Fabian took to, like I said, the streets of Denver with that mission and took time out of his schedule there to give this interview. It is a podcast interview. Alt, have you listened to this interview?
Yes, I have, yeah.
What'd you think
Yeah,
of it? Give me your honest thoughts.
I mean, it's great. I think it's just like anytime you're feeling doubt, just go listen to Fabian speak about this blockchain and these standards and where the greater space is headed. It's always settling and makes me feel like, okay, true. The vision is there, the building blocks are there, the infrastructure is there, and we're just adding to it. So yeah, the path that we're headed down, like, and just going back to your wrap up clip there, just talking about having identity at the core of all of this stuff. That's just the underlying, alpha right there. That it's like we're building out for a future, right? That he's like even mentioned there in that clip that it's an account you'll be able to still use in 5 years, right? Like you think you're gonna be using your MetaMask in 5 years? Yeah, I don't think so, right? Like we're literally built towards this future that we're headed towards. So of course, yeah, I gets me hella excited every time I hear Fabian speak.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fear I've seen from accounts posting, like, is artistry going away? Are we going to be fooled by these AI created artworks that are cheapening in some way the creative process? You look at any one from Dolly to Midjourney to I mean, there are many novel AI. There's a lot of stuff out there. You look at Sora, man, those videos that have been coming out.
Wow, man.
I know that digital creators are getting nervous, and this talk from Fabian really started to investigate like how important identity is going to become as really as the landscape completely changes, right?
Yeah.
As the ground moves beneath our feet. This was a really thought-provoking interview. Um, what's I find great when you step back is you didn't you couldn't have made this blockchain if you just decided to build the tech yesterday. You'd be way behind. This vision, this vision was embarked like you had this vision and this journey was embarked on, 6 years ago, a long time
Yeah.
ago,
Long time. Yeah.
right, Alts? And now it's like this vision is is coming together at this confluence point with the world around it. So much is changing so fast. I feel like we're in such a sweet spot if we just step back and look at it.
That's right. Yeah. We're at this kind of inflection point to where new technologies are forcing new narratives to happen and unfold, right? Like you said, AI is one of those narratives, as is, social fi, account abstraction. All these things are starting to pile up where people are realizing, scrambling to try to find a solution, which is, kind of funny because, like you said, yeah, they've been building the solution for those things, not even knowing they were coming yet. I mean, some of it they did, right? But of course, they've been building these things for years now, and the building blocks are there. It's just more about like how do we convince people or show people, through examples or whatever, that this is the infrastructure they need to solve these problems. But yeah, we're definitely poised to have a big market share of all of those issues.
I love how you said show people. So if you haven't seen that interview from Fabian yet, um, check out our show notes or go to the Luxo official communications, their official social media. Find the interview, check it out, listen to it, really think about the world around you and how fast it is shifting beneath your feet. And think about the technology, the solutions that are being offered by the Luxo blockchain. And then really ask yourself, really look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this tech valuable? And honestly, if you do that, I think You're going to pull your head out of your ass if you're having doubts, much like I had to pull my head out of my ass because it wasn't that I was having doubts about Luxo, but boy, I was getting lost in the chorus of voices that were really um, maybe voicing complaints that had some real genuine shreds of truth to them, even if they're like very perceptive and personal truths. But it's been a tough few weeks, and I think that this will reinvigorate you. And when you say again, real examples, Louis came out with a wrap up tweet after the team traveled to ETH Denver, and Louis comes right out and says, ETH Denver 2024 has officially finished, and it felt like a whole new leaf for Luxo and Universal profiles. Says, here's my wrap up in case you missed us or the event. All of it is just his opinion as a community member and Luxo contributor, which kind of hits on the idea that we are all Luxo, right? Which again is a narrative that's out there, and I think that we need to buy into, but I won't say too much on it right now. Instead, let me dig into this tweet from Louis Alts. Louis says, right underneath in the second tweet under that first one with the images, perception. This may be the most important topic, but Luxo has been fairly misunderstood for a while. This was the first event for Luxo where it felt like there were two types of people who we met with. He says ETH CCC, which is in July in Paris last year, felt like we were very close, and he thinks that he was. But one, the Luxo branding is awesome. You guys must do something cool. What is it? So, again, look at the booth. Lots of people are going to think that's cool. It's eye catching.
Yeah.
But two, after you get past the branding, that kind of like, hey, cool shirt, dude. What else is there? Well, Louis says, now you met new people that I know what Luxo is. I want to dive in further. I want to build. I want to partner with Luxo. Before, some people were just completely off, thinking that we were solely a phygital or fashion project. But Louis says, don't get it twisted. There's still a few of those projects, but it's very different to how it used to be. It now feels like you either know us or you do not, which is a huge improvement considering our first real Ethereum conference attendance was October 22 in DevCon, and we didn't even have a booth. A clean slate is better than the wrong slate. Now, I could go back, I could read through all of Louis' wrap up here, wrap up tweet there, but I suggest that you investigate it yourself. Instead, I'm going to tie this to when we were in Istanbul, the AMA that came up at the end of the meetup. I grabbed the mic. I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And I point blank asked the guys, I said, the people up on the stage, point blank, I said, hey, if perception is reality, right now the perception is that Luxo is solely about digital fashion. I said, is that true? Boom. Right? Like pretty much. I mean, Alt, you were sitting right there.
Yeah.
That was pretty pointed.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, it was valid, right? Like I said, that was the narrative that got pushed for a long time, which, makes sense because that was the first use case that we had to showcase, right? So it just kind of naturally happened that way. But yeah, I think what, Louis is alluding to here is that, yeah, it's so much more than that. And we all know it, right? So I love to see that people are starting to realize that. And I think as more things get built on top of this blockchain, it'll become apparent really quickly. And yeah, I mean, I was at ETH Denver last year and the vibe was great. I love the booth that they put together. Looks like they had a great turnout and a lot of people really engaging and really wanting to dig in and learn about this. And it's a big difference too this year whenever, Mainnet's live with universal profiles and LSPs going full steam. Like, yeah, like there's so much more you can already show and explain, you know, firsthand as opposed to just extrapolating out this idea, right? Like, so I think every time we get a new thing built or a new connection or new inroad, right, it's just going to continue to pile up.
Yeah. Do not get this twisted. This is the message I distilled from Louis. It's something I've been feeling for a long time. Like I said, I tried to pose that question to the guys at um, meetup number 2 in Istanbul. But this is my feeling, and this is the truth, and I don't care how you feel about it. Luxo is a general purpose EVM. It is a layer 1 blockchain that is meant to be a permissionless ecosystem. It is run by the people, for the people, and will move in the direction of the energy of the people. The Foundation for the New Creative Economies has a war chest, so to speak, to fund the public goods that are needed to make sure that this ecosystem can continue to blossom. This is not a fashion blockchain, although Many people may adopt these new standards to bring their visions to life in the creator economy. This is a general purpose EVM. Anything can be built here and it will be supercharged. Going back to that first video that Fabian quote tweeted this morning that said, "Yup, the fundament of this ecosystem are universal profiles. Do not miss out on that." Universal profiles are groundbreaking technology, and it's going to take years for people to uncover what is truly possible underneath the hood with these standards. But in the moment right now, you can wrap your head around the idea that this shit doesn't exist elsewhere. You are
Right.
on the cutting edge. And this place here right now will only move as fast as we, the people, make it happen. So if you're feeling antsy, then get your ass in a seat and start doing something, right?
Well said. Yeah. Time to put up or shut up, I guess, for all of us, right? We got to get out there and make some shit happen. But like, I would say, yeah, Luxo is an identity blockchain. I could say that, right? And then you can choose what you want to build into that. You know what I mean? So it's whether you take digital fashion and build around identity and universal profiles, or if you deal with AI, or if you deal with DeFi, or if you deal with social fi, it doesn't matter. Like that's the key component is the infrastructure, right? And it, like you said, it is a blockchain for the people, by the people. Or wait, by the people, for the people, with the
Whatever.
people, we are the people. No, but we are Luxo, right? So we're all part of this creative, collective consciousness that kind of all can move this whole thing together.
Yeah. If you've ever tried to transfer any funds on Luxo using the universal profiles, you know right away this is about the social connectivity of the users. When I want to send something to alts, I know it's him because I can see his profile picture and I recognize his account.
You see this
That
beautiful face?
that doesn't happen anywhere else, and there's so much more that can be built on top of it. But in case you didn't know, there's also a massive financial layer that can be built on in this ecosystem and really has to exist in order to unlock the potential of the creator economy. We have a tweet from Evan Van Ness that says in 10 days, it will be 18-month anniversary of the merge. During that time, the total supply of Ether decreased by 400,000 ETH. At the current prices, that's worth about 1.475 billion, and that has effectively accrued to ETH holders. Hey, in case you didn't know, which I threw up there, these same mechanics exist on Luxo. And the reason you want to be involved in the Luxo blockchain is because money talks. Money talks. As this blockchain gains more usage, all of those burned fees, just like you see on Ethereum, will start to happen on Luxo, and that value will start to accrue back to the token holders of the Lux token. If you are lost in the sauce, man, and you are thinking that this is just a chain built for Zoolander and Hansel because they're so hot right now, you are just missing the point. And we're probably missing the point because we don't have enough builders that are stressing these fundamental infrastructure pieces that need to be built in order to unlock the creative economy.
Yeah, I mean, I found this quote: when money realizes that it's in good hands, it wants to stay and multiply in those hands, right? So that's kind of what we saw with ETH. Like it just built upon itself and just it kind of fostered its own network effect through that process. So we could do the same thing here on Luxo.
Yeah. This chart was thrown up. It's called the Elements of Value by a community member, De Minimis. I just know Big Nose Who Knows, right? And you've got the 30 elements of value for consumers that start with functional needs at the bottom of the hierarchy and become more personal, even emotional at higher levels. Rob, just leave it there for just a minute. You'll see the functional elements are at the bottom, and those functional elements are largely financial, right? Because if you don't have, if you can't have some type of stable life where you can pay your bills and do the things that need to be done, like so you can then aspire to more creative outputs, you're never going to get there. You're just worried about putting, like honestly, putting food on your table. Like this is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is a different chart. This is the elements of value, man. You need money at the base of the pyramid. Luxo is optimized for the top layers of that pyramid where we can get to the emotional elements, the life changing elements, the social impact elements. But until we have the functional elements down at the bottom, people are going to be stressed out. And that's kind of what's going on in this ecosystem right now. Alts, do you resonate with this pyramid?
Oh yeah, no, totally for sure. When you really think about just like what wealth means or what it means to be wealthy, it's about freedom, right? It's like you kind of achieve a certain level of wealth which allows you the freedom to then go pursue your passions, whether they're creative or, whatever you're going to do, like it just gives you the freedom to build and create the way you want to do it without having to worry about the basic survival tenets of life. Right. So yeah, I totally resonate with this.
Yeah, I think I actually responded to someone's tweet a long time ago, like, like where the pin it had nothing to do with Luxo, but it had to do with like we're at the top of the pyramid, and what you have to do is build the base of the pyramid to then fill in everything underneath. And I was like, that is not functionally how you build a pyramid. You can't put the top stone on first and then have a bunch of empty air and then just fill in the blocks. You got to build the base to work yourself up to the top. Like that's how pyramids work. And in the way that an economy works, you're going to need the base level of this pyramid that is some financial structure in order to unlock all the interesting pieces at the top.
Yeah, and also as you stack layers, the entire structure becomes more secure and stable.
Yeah, less anti-fragile for sure. Now, every what we're saying here is not to take away from some of the really interesting aims that were laid forth in the blueprint for the new creative economies. One of those things was the thought that Luxo would support cultural currencies in a really interesting way. Have I mean, this brings us to, I guess, a tweet I popped out the other day. Lots of tweets from Ethalorian because Ethalorian has
Mhm.
lots of opinions at the moment. Alt, a lot less joking today. That tweet says, "Hey, Luxo family, have you ever pondered the true potential of cultural currencies beyond traditional monetary value? These innovative forms of these innovative forms of value can revolutionize how we think about currency, but there's a catch. Without a solid financial backbone, they may not reach their full potential. Let me explain." And underneath, because I can see the time, we're already a half hour into the show, is a whole bunch of important experiments with cultural currencies. We got things like time banking services. Are you familiar with time banking services, Alts?
A little bit, just a touch, yeah.
That would be like, I'm going to work, um, spend 3 hours of work doing something for you in a specialized way, something that you may not be able to do yourself. And I can bank that time. And then later on, I can trade for someone to spend their specialized time on me. Inside this tweet, I actually link an article from 2018 from the Smithsonian saying time banking is catching on in the digital world. I think it's a good example of how a cultural currency could work if you're looking for a concrete idea around cultural currencies. Because up until this point, everyone talks about cultural currencies, and all they talk about are really just tokens that
Yeah.
recognize participation in something like a PFP project that really just takes your money and then calls you a community member. Most so many PFP projects don't do anything for their community members. Not all, though. Some have really stitched together incredible cultural currency around their PFP. Look at the Bored Apes. Look at how that's been leveraged over time. Hopefully, we see things like that in the Luxo ecosystem, but hopefully, we see things that have been pushed so far beyond that that it would actually be interesting. Cultural currencies can't just be a term. Cultural currencies has to be a real and tangible idea, that we can trade. I guess layering on this, Alt, because I get a lot to say. You have to be able to trade things for money as well, because I don't, man, like there's a reason why I can't trade beaver pelts for the reason why the barter economy doesn't necessarily work, right? If you don't need beaver pelts and all I have is beaver pelts, I'm not going to be able to eat food if you've got the food, Alts, right? At some
Yeah.
point, you don't want beaver pelts anymore. I need to be able to store that value in something, and that's where stable coins come in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When you add the financial rails to the barter system, it opens up an entire, vibrant ecosystem that couldn't really exist otherwise with these just one-on-one trades. The time baking stuff is super interesting. Yeah, it's like kind of like, okay, I'll paint your fence if you fix my engine in my car, type thing. And then it's like being able to trade those things, but in a digital realm, on some financial rails to incentivize things. Yeah, that would open up a whole lot of things. You made some great points in that tweet too. I really like the idea of social credits, what individuals can be rewarded for their community oriented behavior, like credits that are redeemable for, assets or access or, events. And you said, don't get it confused with dystopian, CCC policies in China. Like, yes, I love the non-Black Mirror style of social credits. But yeah, whether you're talking about cultural tokens or community currencies, they're all great too, right? But yeah, for these things to really reach their actual potential, I think we need that financial infrastructure to kind of underpin it all.
Yeah, that's where this idea of pink money comes from. Not pink money as it might be out there in the public if you go Google that thing, but instead the idea that Luxo is going to need some way to store the value from cultural currencies that might not yet have demand, um, to be used at some future time period or to be moved off chain, right? To bring into maybe your physical existence so you can make your life better, buy a better house, I don't know, pay your bills, feed yourself. The power of pink money is enabling some type of store of value that translates to the physical domain. And that's why we're begging for stablecoins. Stablecoins can increase stability and trust in the new creative economy because they provide a reliable medium of exchange, like I'm saying, for cultural currencies. They can provide seamless exchange across other sectors of the economy, which may not exist in this country, right? If Fabian talks about blockchains as countries, Luxo is a country. If I want to move to another country, right, another blockchain with some value, I have to have some way to move it. I'm not going to be able to move the cultural again. If I have beaver pelts and I want to move to a country that is tropical that has no need for beaver pelts, my cultural currency or wealth is going to be useless. I need some way to move it. And the only way to get that done is to have some store of value. That is pink money. It's going to expand global reach. It's going to literally increase economic growth on this blockchain, and it's going to bring financial inclusion to more and more people who participate.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of those things is once you kind of get that infrastructure built out, it allows people to come into those social currency ecosystems and stay there without having to just come in, extract, and leave, right? They can actually stay there and flourish.
Mm, yeah. So we have another tweet behind it that's saying, hey, why do we need oracles on Luxo? Well, we're going to need oracles, something like a chain link, because they play a vital role in connecting blockchain ecosystems like Luxo with external data sources that also, right, ensure that smart contracts on the Luxo platform can interact with real world information. They enable complex and dynamic applications. Let me distill this to a point. Like I just said, if Luxo is a country, right? And we want to move to another country. Many of us have like flown from wherever your home base is to another place, and you've got to go get the currency of that country to be able to trade there. But some countries will accept the currency of another country in their country, right? Because it's stable. I'm a US citizen. The US dollar, I can bring many different places and trade it because it's a fairly stable currency and they know that there is value there. Well, in the smart contract ecosystem that goes across many of these different layer one blockchains or layer twos, or really, I don't care what layer you're on, there are stable coins. These stable coins have been deployed across many different ecosystems, and these stable coins allow you to transfer this value without something like Chainlink. Uh, Again, an oracle. It's really difficult to maintain the uh, the trust, let's say, between
Right.
these different ecosystems. That might be the wrong word, but I'm just like shooting from the hip, looking at the clock right now.
No, yeah, you could just kind of, yeah, just think of it as like that bridge of trust to just that way, when you're in these different ecosystems that there's this through line that is, proper that you can always relate to.
Hmm. I don't know if we made the case that this is important yet, but we're going to triple down with one more tweet for pink money. If we get something like an Oracle system, a chain link, where we can, again, attribute and trust sources of information that are not exactly tied into the transactions on the Luxo network, we're going to be able to unlock things like over collateralized lending on the Luxo blockchain. Unlocking over collateralized lending, something like a MakerDAO or an Aave, right? When combined with a product, a liquid staking token, like is provided with, again, our friends and sponsors at Liquid, you could take your collateral, right? You could stake on Luxo, you could get your SLIX, you could put that into something like a MakerDAO, and you could mint a stablecoin against it, much like there's a decentralized stablecoin called DAI on the Ethereum ecosystem. that stable coin is going to allow, it's going to unlock all kinds of liquidity and a credit market on Luxo that could be needed. What's going to happen is it's going to allow people like myself or alts to invest in creators that may not have liquidity for their projects. Right now, I have my tokens. The only way for me to give you money is to sell tokens, right? Which will tank the price, and then I can give the money out, and like that doesn't work. I mean, we have credit markets all around the world. Why not have credit markets here on Luxo, right?
Yeah, agreed. Like that. There's so many of us that actually want to do that. We want to support other projects and builders and creators in the space. And that would be the most ideal way to do that, is through that collateralized lending. But yeah, I mean, like Luxo's identity solutions, like they kind of have this potential to unlock this lending in a new way, like providing kind of a reliable way to access, credit worthiness and manage risks, kind of in the same thing, like being able to leverage your reputation, into that social fi or the DeFi side of things is actually really, really, it's a kind of a cool way to merge those two things, really.
Yeah, it's unlocking. Over collateralized means I put up all the collateral up front and then I take some money against it. And because everything is done via smart contract, if at some point I don't pay that debt back, then they will liquidate my collateral to repay the debt. And that manages the risk in the ecosystem so you don't have these bank failures. Okay. You need an oracle because you have to be able to track the price of the asset across many different exchanges where things are listed. That's a model that works. It's out there, friends. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel. Where we can reinvent the wheel is Luxo and its identity standard. Um, Really, its identity ecosystem, let's call it universal
Yeah.
profiles, can unlock the under collateralized lending because based upon your reputation, you might not have to put all the money up front. Instead, you could come to someone like myself or alts, and I could say, you know what, based upon your on chain transactions, the reputation that you've accrued, your general reputation in this ecosystem, I'm comfortable giving you this loan through this smart contract. And I could, again, algorithmically um, through some protocol, maybe give you an interest rate that is tailored directly to you. Now, if you're like, I don't like interest, people shouldn't give loans. Well, I mean, honestly, let's live in the real world. How do you buy houses, cars? I mean, this is how things happen. People with money lend it out, which creates more liquidity in the ecosystem so people with ideas can build more things. Period.
Right. And people want to, I mean, they want to take out funds to be able to just live and survive and to do things without burning their holdings, right? So being able to take out loans against that would actually be extremely beneficial in a lot of ways, both in your physical realm as well.
So we've been on the timeline saying hashtag pink money. I want you to think about grabbing onto that hashtag and you spreading it. If you believe that we need this fundamental layer of the pyramid in order to sustain the greater creative economy and unlock a lot of the important experimentation around cultural currencies in a way that is sustainable long term, meaning sustainable where it connects to your real life, then grab the hashtag and start sharing your opinions because I think that Luxo is a blockchain for the people, by the people, and we need to embrace that and build it out in the direction that is going to be sustainable for all of us long term. If you feel like some of this talk has been a little bit disjointed, it's because it is. We're passionate and trying to squeeze everything into the shortest time frame possible in a live stream. If you want to go back and read the tweets, they're referenced in the description below, and there's a much more straight line and thought out kind of delivery for these points. And I think you can use them to learn more about what we're talking about, and then craft your own opinions about it. You
Yeah,
think
I
that?
think it's just yeah, that's I think it's just mostly about like trying to expand our horizons a bit in our imagination and try to highlight some of the areas that have been neglected to this point that we haven't really talked about or haven't really thought much about that we probably should be building in concert, right? Because at the end of the day, that pyramid, we need all layers of that pyramid to fully thrive. So yeah, I think it's great to start wrapping your mind around some of these concepts and ideas and kind of imagine how it's going to play out. And then, if you have some sort of way to help move that needle, that's great too.
Yeah. We also have things that need to be built in this ecosystem, and I see Vlad talking about it all the time. I've seen Vlad and Jake tweeting about this recently. Again, Vlad and Jake, founders of Universal Page. This is something that they've been on. We need public goods Um, there are things that need to be built that do not have business models, but the chain will benefit from them long term. On the Ethereum blockchain, Gitcoin was started for this exact reason, so people could effectively grant money to public goods funding. The Ethereum Foundation could grant money to public goods funding to build out the things that don't necessarily have business models, but do absolutely aid in the infrastructure of the new creative economy. I mean, so many people want the token price to go up, but honestly, are you willing to pay the price? Well, you're going to get the opportunity to do so soon because our friends at Luxta are coming with Fund Up, right? I see your
Yeah.
tweet.
Yeah, it's super awesome. They forked the Allo protocol, like which is but utilizing the LSPs on Luxo, so you can grant rounds to foster a diverse range of project proposals on Lix. Um, so yeah, it's really really cool. It's like the difference is you'd say Fund Up is an allocation DApp that's used for distributing the funds, and Luxta is the fundraising DApp below that. So they're going to have different strategies for both allocation and distribution. And Jack had asked them a question about the art. Will RICO be, reversible ICO be in the play? And funds are definitely a fundraising strategy, and it belongs to the Luxta side of things. But yes, being able to leverage these LSPs in new ways to grant projects and builders, I think that's just such a great, exciting frontier to head down.
Yeah. You know, I love the tech, but I also love money. And if that resonates with you, then please understand that you too can love both. You can have a brain, you can love both things at the same time. It doesn't have to be a mutually exclusive situation. I am all in on the identity solutions that have been proposed by the Luxo team and the incredible possibilities that they unlock going forward. But I can also understand that there is a pragmatic approach to building out an ecosystem that is sustainable long term. I'm an adult. I can have two opposing views in my mind at the same time. Even though I'll tell you, for a short amount of time, that was tested in my brain and it took somebody to really challenge that. Kudos to Niho. Um, Honestly, 0x Niho made me challenge that in my brain and unlock something. And I appreciate you, my man. You can absolutely have two things up there. It does not have to be black and white. So that's my take. That's going to be the close for me in this section. I think Alts has one more tweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of said it there. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing. Like, who knows? I don't know what come first. What's supposed to come first? I just want both, right? We want both, and let's build them both in concert, because ultimately they help empower the other. So I think I think that's kind of the key takeaway for me. But yeah, I had a tweet here about the socialfi side of things because like I think the identity focused standards on Luxo are the best infrastructure for socialfi to be constructed on. I'm going to be, I've been beating the drum for social fi because I think it's going to be a huge narrative over the next couple of years. Like we saw some flare ups with friend.tech and Farcaster, but the standards they chose to build on are just so limited, So it's like when we get a social DApp, that catches steam on Luxo, like I think it's going to be next level. We're going to be talking about true on chain identity and reputation being possible. And then now, if you mix in some of those financial rails that we discussed as well, it kind of boosts this entire movement. Like we said, imagine being able to leverage your and use your reputation to get better terms and rates. I mean, ultimately, you have less bad actors that way because there's more at risk. You're also risking your reputation that you've built up for a long time, right? So allowing users to utilize stable coins, loan or borrow tokens, perform TradFi transactions, provide liquidity, or just participate in yield farming or any other way directly through a social media platform. Could you imagine that kind of network effect that it would create? In a much more engaging and financially rewarding way. Like you're incentivizing people to participate. So it kind of makes this full ecosystem and things around it that much more powerful and vibrant in the process.
Alts, I should let you mic drop that thing. Pink money, friends. Pink money. That's what we're pushing now. And we're not pushing it to be obtuse. We're not pushing it to do something that would be harmful to this chain. We're pushing it because we believe that this infrastructure is necessary to take these, like you said, primitive experiments that have existed in other ecosystems and fully unlock them with this incredible technology that has been built by the developer team at Luxo.
Yeah, exactly. It's time to turn things up.
Okay, let's go up and to the right.
What do we
When
got
Rob
here, E?
asked when Rob asked what we were going to do, I didn't read the normal review. Normally I would give the quick read about providing a weekly review of the market caps, but we're not doing that. Instead, look at that chart. That is the historical price action of the LUKSO token. So that captures the entire price action of this token from its inception, going back into the summer of 2020. Alts, you are far more of a chartist than I am. Can you give me a couple thoughts on that really quickly?
Well, I mean, just the most glaring thing that I see is just a giant consolidation period that we are currently in. Like, we had a couple of breakout runs, and then, often those can cause just insane periods of, consolidation where things get kind of rebalanced, which is what we've been seeing. But it's like the fact that it's lasted this long is just wild, right? But what's also funny is those first couple of spikes where mostly just runs on, speculation of what we can do with this chain and this technology. And then here we are now in this consolidation period with the technology working and running and been smooth for a year already on mainnet almost, right? So it's definitely a complete, like, the true value of this chain is not even remotely represented here, which is just, that's just kind of where we're at, right?
Markets can remain irrational far longer than you can stay solvent. That is something that is a lesson that I have learned. Those two spikes, like you said, were based upon the speculation of what is possible on this chain, and now we've entered this long consolidation period. I didn't plan to quote Louis in this spot, but I'm going to quote him right now. It feels like I'm almost direct quoting him. It feels like we are one D app away in this ecosystem from really demonstrating the power of the LSPs. And then, honestly, I firmly believe we're going to see another meteoric rise in token price. That is not financial advice. That is my own personal beliefs about what has been built here and what the possibilities are. Alts.
Well, if you had taken those first two spikes and extrapolated that line out and just call that resistance, the way it works is the longer the consolidation period is after, the higher that resistance line is. So yes, whenever there's plenty of room beyond our wildest imaginations for that spike up, when we do get that killer dap or whatever it is that gets this thing really moving. Because I mean, that we all know, we understand, we've been pink pilled, we understand the ammo and the potential for this chain. And when you wrap your mind around it, you get insanely excited. And at some point, yes, we will have some killer dap or something that will spread the word, right? And once we break through, I think the chatter about, like, we still haven't even seen that phase yet of people actually talking about this chain, right? So once you get that, yeah, the sky's the limit at that point. It's just a matter of, like, when, not if.
When, not if. And we're building things out constantly. Again, those two spikes in that historical chart going way back, there was absolutely nothing built. That was pure speculation. And I think the team was right. Fabian was right to say that is, we're not here for the speculators. They can go home. Well, the times are different now. Times are much different now because things are actually getting built. So the next run up is actually going to be based upon the dApps that are built. So we have to demonstrate real value being built in this ecosystem. If you're looking for some way to track the real value being built in this ecosystem, let's head over to the network update.
Process.
Dave Les, along with Hans, I believe, or Datzel. I don't know exactly who is tied to that besides Dave, but I know that they've gone out of their way to try to make an attractive, interactive ecosystem map showing all of the things artists, people who have been involved in starting to build out this blockchain. Again, Rob just flashed to the price. It's been very flat. Now we've got this ecosystem map showing all the things that are being built. You can actually go from this ecosystem map. You click on the start button. You can make a universal profile. This is interactive and will only explode from here. If you're one of the people that has been out there that says there are only F tier projects on here, well, you can take that, turn it sideways, and shove it up your ass. because there's a lot of hard people. There's a lot of people that are building in this ecosystem, and this map is going to explode. It's going to get so dense that you will not be able to fit everything on one page and be able to read it without a microscope.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the guys for putting this together. I love to see this continued growth, and I can't wait to see kind of how it's going to evolve. Like you said, I mean, it's just one dApp after another and one project after another just coming online. It's going to look completely different. By the end of the year, it's just going to be a massive thing you have to zoom into. But I mean, yeah, we have very organic, humble beginnings, but this is the start of it.
Yeah. So we have a couple projects that are included here that we figured we'd highlight. Alt, you want to take the first one?
Yeah. One of Universal Grave. So it's yeah, this is one of my favorite hackathon projects, which is basically kind of like our protection for universal profiles, right? We all have those. We all hate those scam NFTs that end up in our wallet on Ethereum, right? And it's like if you accidentally interact with one of those, they'll drain your account, and it looks gross, and it's just terrible art. And right, and you try to report that it's spam and it's scam and yada yada, and hope they take it down. But it's just like there's so many issues with that, right? So what Universal Grave does, which is now they've actually launched beta on mainnet, is they basically you can program and set up this grave to where you can reject things from ever you can reject those scam NFTs from ever entering your wallet universal profile, in the process. So and it's also recoverable, right? So it's a graveyard, it's like a graveyard. So if you're like, oh, whoops, I actually want to let that one come on in, then you can bring the ghost back on over. But it's just such a cool, awesome way to kind of add support for LSP assets.
And it's a use case of LSP1 that the universal receiver that we have been talking about for years. To see it come to fruition with the team from Universal Grave has been fantastic. I've been talking to the team behind year one, and we're going to get them on for an interview. So we're going to start talking to people so you can hear their voices and hear their perspectives on building with the LSPs. Love that one. We got another project that launched. People have been crying for dexes. Well, we've got a um, fully audited decks and universal swaps that honor the new token standards proposed for the Luxo ecosystem. Like I said, fully audited by Trust Security. Uh, this is really important. It covers the LSP7, LSP8 swaps. Universal swaps needs more TVL. They need more action. They need more tokens to trade. This ties back into that pink money concept because we're going to need more money in these dexes to make them powerful. Because right now, I'll tell you what, I don't want to trade my LYX tokens and lose all the upside for any cultural currency that has no monetary value or is not actually being traded on here or is purely speculative. What I might be willing to trade it for other things. I might be even willing to put up some money in stable coins if they're here to trade against those cultural currencies like we talked about previously. But people have been crying for dexes. Boom, mic drop again on chain.
Boom. Yeah, I love it. I love to see the proper audit there with Trust. The platform, if you haven't tried it out yet, it's super sleek and easy to use. Whether you're trading tokens or adding to a liquidity pool, it's very intuitive to navigate through, and it's going to be great to see more tokens get on there and to trade and play with. Yeah, for sure. Well done on this whole platform.
Well done. Like we talked about um, we need core infrastructure as well. So Alt, you threw up this tweet from NVO. What is NVO?
NVO is like a modern blockchain indexer. So they have this 3 command intuitive developer deployment. So you basically it's fully customizable by the builders for the builders. So in this tweet, they said they're bringing blockchain tech to its next frontier, and we're providing the speed. So it's adding speed through this indexer for stuff on Luxo. So the fastest data indexing performance and efficiency out there.
Yeah, if you've got a smart contract and you need to get information from the historical chain, you're going to need an indexer. We have um, we have teams that have built indexers specifically for their project. That makes for some inefficiencies because if you want to build something, a project on Luxo, and you need information and then you have to build your own indexer from scratch, man, that
Tough,
is
yeah,
a really inefficient development process. To have infrastructure like this come online, again, I have not used NVO, but the more indexers that we could have, the more we're going to find competition and get high quality indexers, and it's just going to help builders bring things to chain rapidly.
agreed. We love to see stuff that helps builders. So we actually have a really nice, cool tweet here from Troy. Congratulations to Luxo on passing the 2 million blocks milestone. Up only. Yeah, that's a nice milestone to hit already.
Yeah, again, while there's all that FUD on the blockchain that we've been dealing with, personal squabbles, gripes, issues, you don't support me, I don't support you, all that fades into the background because every 12 seconds a block is produced by the Luxo network. And we just passed 2 million blocks from that May of 23 launch. This thing keeps chugging along. The tech is solid, my friends. But if you are a home staker and you are running a node for the network, or you are running a DApp node, there was a message from Felix reaching out to all validators that there's mandatory maintenance that you have to undergo. Do not overlook this, or you could cause some problems for the network. Again, it's not just about making free money by staking your licks. There's a security element to this, that, and there's a duty to the network. You guys are the to Game of Thrones, man. You're on that wall, right?
Yeah,
So
we appreciate you. Yeah, make sure you get your stuff updated. Well, let's keep it moving here, Ethan. Get into some Pinkest tweets.
Almost everything I have on is pink, and it's my favorite.
So the first one here we got from Amir. Let us always remember those who support, those who hold, and those who build. This is a really cool collage of so many different universal profiles and their images there. They said currently 15,000. I believe the number's closer to 30,000. The ticker is actually stuck. So I think we have around 30,000 universal profiles right now, which is quite a big number considering where we're at. But this is such a cool piece. I love to see this collection of family there.
Amir, and as a developer, and the developers that they're connected to, just continuously is out there trying to improve tooling around the ecosystem. Need more people like this, and that right there, I would love a printout of that, a high gloss printout of that that I can hang on my wall, just to remind me that this is a network for the people, by the people, that is going to be participated in by people, not nameless addresses. There's someone behind every one of these accounts that has a story, and each one of those stories needs to be honored. I think that is a really moving image for me. Like it made me emotional when I saw it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool piece.
Yeah. Alts, why don't you take the lead through the whole Pinkest tweet? Because I
Yeah, let's do it. Next up, we got one from Hugo. My favorite gift from the Ethereum Denver goes to Uniswap. Not your keys, not your crypto B3 Uniswap. Got a little keychain there. Dope piece. Love Uniswap. Next one, we got one from Queen Marjorie. After seeing pictures of ETH Denver, I can't express how proud I am of our creative team. Which, I mean, if you don't know Luxo, yeah, we have next level swag. Like, I've been to a ton of these conferences, and you just don't see this type of branding with other blockchains. You just don't, which is great for our culture and our vibe. So many cool pieces there. That jacket is just insane. Sticker collection, the backdrop, all that stuff's great. And I love how so much of what we as a community have just come up with, through our own shenanigans, get integrated in some of the marketing stuff. Always love to see that. Next one we got from Jonathan, the pink wave at Luxo. We got a little video clip here of the booth. You could see it was just popping, man. People wanting to learn about Luxo. Those embrace the chain jackets are on, they're on point. But yeah, I just love to see the energy, and it looked like it was like that the whole time that the
Alts,
team was there.
you said something to me before, you were a poker player for a long time, and you said when people, like, this is a very confident stance that Luxo is taking. It's very flamboyant. It's very in your face branding. And you said when people behave like this at the poker table, they're either holding the royal flush or they're bluffing, right?
Yeah.
And I think personally, the Luxo team knows that they're holding the royal flush when it comes to tech. And that's why they're able to be loud like this in a developer conference when everyone else is trying to go black and gray and blend into the background. Luxo saying, no, we're in your face because we believe, right? And again, Luxo, the German organization, right, believes in what they have built. And so I'm saying I can't wait to see the royal flush as it starts to reveal itself on the table.
Yeah, agreed. we're anxious to see the cards get played, right? But as always, we just had to be patient to kind of actually see that, to get to the river, to
Yeah.
see what they've been holding on to. But I would say, yeah, their actions up to this point have been a bit polarizing. So it definitely makes you think that, like, the confidence is there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Well, next up, we got one for myself. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. If you didn't see, Fabian presentation was streamed, and he gave us a nice shout out to the Pink Pill Productions and the wrap up. So we appreciate the shout out. As always, every time Fabian gets on stage, it's just great to see him kind of highlight, the true value proposition of Luxo, and kind of just where the greater Web3 ecosystem, is headed.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we've got one from Ali, Ali's the president of Izmir University of Economics Blockchain Club, located in Turkey. He's got a couple of Embrace the Chain cards there. So he's a Pink Tech cards at their meetup, number 6 they had there in Turkey. So seriously, I have a few cards left. Who can we have some more? They need some more cards to hand out. So
And before we get to the winner alts, I want to say this is a non-traditional Pinkest tweet section, because we chose not to highlight the art in this section. Instead, we chose to highlight the pink branding of the creative team as the pinkest thing going on in this ecosystem right now. And again, like we said, there's a choice behind that pink, because pink is going to stick out in this space. So it's either a royal flush or a bluff. And all of us there's been a lot of noise saying, we call it, is it a royal flush or a bluff? And if you know the tech, even the people who are vocal out there, for many reasons that you might not appreciate their opinions, they will always tell you the tech is legit. So that's why we chose to focus on this today, because that is the pinkest of the pink while we have been away.
indeed. Well, let's get into the winner. We got one here from Sweet Feels, one with Platies. He's got a little LIX token and his up card chilling in that hexagon logo. This is a cute little piece. I love it. And just shout out Sweet Feels. You've been out there on the timeline spreading some great vibes lately, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. And that cute little Platy. I mean, there's no better time to talk about Platies than right now, because I think something's coming on Monday, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, should we just go into the fame section?
I didn't strive for success. I strived to do something artistically important.
Yeah, so in the fame section, we're going to be highlighting Platies here, because we are excited for this drop coming up, and it sounds like everyone else is as well. So, what are Platies? They're a collection of dripped out platypi coming to the Luxo network. So yeah, they're a bridge of brands, creators, and artists to kind of engage with new audiences in Web3 communities. And it sounds like, we're going to be getting some people that might not necessarily be in the Luxo ecosystem already to come and dabble around this excitement. So that's actually really cool.
Platies has gone out of their way to market to people who are non-native to Luxo. They are trying to bring people in from outside of the Luxo ecosystem to create universal profiles to participate in this network. They're really trying to onboard people into NFT 2.0s and the greater Luxo ecosystem through these cute little Platies. Each one of these bad boys has been hand drawn, right? Each one of these traits. Emily's an incredible artist. So this is a project that I know Alt and I are very, very interested in. And if you're only hearing about this for the first time, because this is your first time ever encountering anyone talking about Platies, well, honestly, you should get out from underneath whatever rock you've been living underneath for a long time. But definitely go and check out and get involved on their common ground, on their Discord, follow them on Twitter, because do not let these guys pass you by.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're going to be leveraging some LSPs in some new, interesting, unique ways, which is actually kind of, awesome as well. So yeah, definitely go check them out if you don't know about it. Well, we actually have a little bit of stuff in Speculation Nation this week. Let's check it out. So Fabian was definitely making the rounds at ETH Denver. It seems like people were seeking him out to have conversations and to grab selfies with this celebrity wizard of the blockchain. But yeah, there was the first one here is a meeting with creator of Homebrew. Now they're working on T Protocol, which is a decentralized technology protocol that kind of enables open source software developers to get rewarded for their contributions. So I'd love to see that. Says it's perfect for ERC 725 account. I would totally agree with that.
Yeah. It was like Fabian was walking and the Luxo team, they were walking around East Denver, just collecting bodies, so to speak, just like interesting interactions, and then giving us plenty of fuel for the speculative fire. I was chuckling because that air horn gets me every friggin' time with that meme from Super Hot Fire. And I've been so serious this episode. I think I've laughed like one time. Like, I feel like I just released so much stress by talking for the last hour. Meanwhile, Rob's in the background going, will these guys hurry the F up?
Sorry, Rob. It had to be done. I feel like it had to be done, right? After a 3-week hiatus and a lot to cover, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So in this next section here, again, this is Speculation Nation. We have, how many times have people said, look at these advisors, there's something definitely coming from Luxo, and then there's just like crickets. And then that's a source of FUD in and of itself, because then people get really down on that really powerful advisory board that was out there. Well, one of the advisors woke up on the timeline, Julian, I don't know how to pronounce that, Boudaloop, I would say. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It's probably pronounced much more elegantly, but that's what I'll say.
Surely.
Said he's in search of a top-notch UI UX pro who really gets DeFi, PM with resources, links, etc. If interested, fire emoji. I have no idea what that's actually for. Could be for anything, but let's speculate, because that's what we do. So moving on, Crypto Horse actually uncovers something that some of you might not be aware of. Look at that. Look who was a seed funder for the Luxo network in 2019. It's State Capital. Guess who is a founder of State Capital? Julian. Yeah. Julian Boudaloop. Interesting. Maybe he has a vested interest in making sure that his seed round actually returns a solid investment. So if that was just like the speculative, it ends there, then I would say, man, we're assholes just connecting dots that honestly didn't need to be connected at a time where we would raise expectations and maybe not meet them again for people. But Julian comes out and says, what, Alts?
I am. When Fico asks, he is, and I think he's also going to deploy on Luxo. He says, I am, and I'm also building on Luxo. So yeah, Julian definitely has some plans for Luxo, and we're curious exactly what he might be building there.
So when you look at that advisory board and you say, over time, we've all become kind of disenchanted or like a little bit down on it, saying, oh my God, are these people really ever going to get involved with anything? I've heard the Luxo just put them up there to take money from us. Well, maybe you should pump the brakes on that, guys, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you what Julian's building, but again, this is a serious builder, someone with someone that has an incredible capability of calling the future and making money at it. And if he's building on Luxo, that should be signal for you.
Yeah, I'm excited that he is building on Luxo, and I love to see it. And like you said, yeah, we have an extensive, insanely talented and connected board of advisors. But yeah, I mean, if any of them chose to build on Luxo for their own reasons, right? Like it wasn't going to happen in testnet, right? Like it wasn't going to happen before we had universal profiles. But now that things are actually, moving, we might start to see more of this stuff, which I absolutely love.
Like we said on the ecosystem map, my friends, more and more things are going to come online and more developments are going to come on for the network. Vlad saying, hey, surprisingly, there's no hardware wallet or simply EOA recovery for profiles still. Fabian comes on and hits us with the meme. Soon.
It wasn't even the soon TM. It is coming very soon, period. It's a very just straightforward statement. So no TM needed.
No, that wasn't meant to be like, hey, we're giving you a soon to placate you. That was like, shut up because it's coming. We know what we're building and we're confident. Again, royal flush or bluff. And, we're all waiting for that card to see. We're all waiting for the river to see what it is. But honestly, I think the team knows.
Yeah.
Okay. More speculation nation. I wonder why we would leak a photo of Meeting of the Minds with the creators for Rarible. Hey, that's Jonathan, head of biz dev. That's Clara. That's Hugo. That's Fabian. And that's the Rarible team. I wonder what they're talking about. Looks like Alt's disappeared. So I guess I'm going to take it home here at the end. We went past the limits of what his headset could handle. So again, more speculation nation. That's the Luxo team with Rarible. Luxo also posted a picture with the team at token.com or token.com. They are they're another way to bring liquidity into this ecosystem. And this one here, Louis gives us a little speculation with big things on the horizon. All right. Since alts is gone, let's go to visual learning, Rob. Okay, in visual learning, I kind of trolled Louis with this one. I'm not gonna lie, because I was begging for stable coins in a tweet, and I was feeling like I was drowning that day, and Louis hit me with the whoosh, cultural currencies. I want to see some experiments there, where I felt like I went underwater immediately. What I really loved about this, again, if we can't poke fun at each other in this ecosystem, and then we have no sense of humor, honestly, we're not going anywhere. I put this out here because I'm going to poke fun at Louis. That's how I felt. I love that Yaman, actually, one of the smart contract devs at Luxo, put a laughing face underneath it and tagged Louis, and we all got a laugh at this moment in time, because things need to be a little bit more lightheaded. Yes, we do need stable coins, and yes, we do need cultural currencies. But instead of the high five, how about we grasp hands and work together, right? And you can pull me up out of the water. I got another visual learning tweet here. Luxo is a truly permissionless network embracing builders of all types. And in the background, there is that little goblin there that is pulling the user back because there's a lack of crucial infrastructure like oracles and indexers. We talked about an indexer, NVO, coming online, a service. I can't wait till we get an oracle. There's definitely been some talk about there. I know talk out there. I know I've been hammering on it. I hope we get it soon. Until then, we're always going to be just a little bit away from a truly permissionless network where we can truly embrace builders of all types. Okay. As we get to the close of the show here, House Up reminds us that the cream always rises to the top. And what's the cream in the blockchain space right now, whether or not people choose to understand it? It is that pink logo. It is Luxo. And Maximus, in the last visual learning, lots of us are saying, come on, do something. Well, be careful putting your head over the top of Luxo right now on the charts, because when that God candle comes, you don't want it to blow your brains out. I love all of these memes. I think they are very, very funny, and they tell a story, and they relate to the community in general. And that is why at the end of the show, we added Crex's meme literally 5 minutes before the show went off, because he posted it up there. He says, hey, holding Luxo is not stressful at all. And that's Dave at 28 years old. Oh, that's how I feel. I've had some intestinal distress about what has been going on recently. Oh, you're back, Alts. Yay.
Just with audio. Yeah. I lost the internet completely there, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we got Dave at 28 years old. I thought that was hilarious. So I'm just going to roll with it.
No, I love that one. David, 28. We can all relate to that.
How do you get a picture of me? You're right, Dave. There weren't many comments thrown up during the show, probably because this wasn't as lighthearted as it normally is. Alt and I are usually laughing and joking and having a great time. This one felt like it needed to be a little bit more serious. And like I admitted to, I was on the timeline, I was actually feeling quite anxious about getting on this show, because I wasn't sure how to go about coming back to the timeline while speaking my truth. I feel like we've done a good job of that today, Alts.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, like I said, we appreciate you guys sticking with us longer, much longer show this week. But yeah, I felt like it was important to kind of highlight and kind of, as we kind of reset everything, and just the sentiment in general kind of gets a fresh new look, and we kind of start fresh again with a good outlook on where we're headed. I think it was good to kind of touch base on all that stuff.
Sure. So next week, you can expect KEEZ to return to the regularly scheduled programming. Lightning strikes at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. That's a time that is going to be amenable to our people in the Pacific realm, specifically the Aussies, Rob. And why are we going to have the lightning talks on Tuesday at 9 a.m.? Because we may have family.lix coming on to discuss his project. And maybe, fingers crossed, my fingers are being crossed so hard, that we might get the team from Platies as well. Not sure yet. If you ever want to get on the lightning talks, reach out to Sage, hit him up, and Sage will let you up there. It's agenda free. So if you have anything to say, you're going to get the platform to talk, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'd love to see. Shout out to all the people who have actually come on already and talked about their projects and what they're building and stuff. And yeah, if you want to get on and highlight whatever it is you're building or creating or working on, reach out to Sage and let him know. And yeah, Platies, this is a call to you guys if you can swing it. Yeah, this is gonna be an Aussie focused show, so why not?
And I bet you we get back on the timeline last week with a few more jokes and a little bit more lighthearted nature while still continuing to push our narrative of pink money, because that is our truth. And we are going to speak our truth unabashedly and unapologetically from now on. I have to, otherwise my head is going to completely explode. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on so you never miss an update. Thank you so much for the support. And I wanted to leave you with this last tweet, the last tweet of this very long show. This is the type of grassroots interaction that is going to make all the difference. So you see all of those photos from ETH Denver with these booths where you're trying to attract people in, and we're very, very pink. Well, grinding at the tables where the developers are actually experiencing and learning about the tech is a very genuine human being. Look at that smile. That is Jean. John, one of the I believe he's a smart contract lead at Luxo. John is a very genuine human being. He's very bright. And John just wants to spread the tech to more and more people. These are the types of interactions going to make the difference. It's going to make all the difference going forward. Again, this is just Jean, but if all of us can embody that spirit from person to person as we interact with people, whether it be on chain or IRL events, so IPD in physical dimension or IDD in digital dimension, we're going to be going good places. So please embody the spirit of Jean, like we saw in that tweet.
Well said, Eth. Yeah, embody that spirit that he's putting out there. And it's like I said, just remember, we are Luxo. So we're all in this in together, fam. So let's try to do our best to support each other and kind of unify our energies in this common direction that we're headed.
Yeah, the people's chain.
The people's chain. So yeah, before we head out, Eth, I got a quick question. So how do you stop a bull from charging?
Unplug it.
You cancel its credit card. Seems fitting for the current situation of our chart. You know. But he's about to get his credit limit back and we're about to start running.
I love it. There were some disputed charges that we had to rectify first.
They just increased his credit limit to $10. So now we can run to $10.
Love it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in live for this longer edition this week, and for any of you listening on your own time, we appreciate you. And yeah, I mean, I love the pink money excitement. It feels like there's already such a new injection of energy in the community, starting to imagine some of these things and how it's going to help this overall ecosystem. So yeah, exciting times. So yeah, we appreciate you all. Hope you have a wonderful Friday and an amazing weekend, and do what you do best. Stay pink.